Guys, so I have my weekly inspiration topic, which I don't have a topic for it. I normally just write about things or talk about things that is either on my heart or that's been on my mind or something. So I wouldn't really know what the topic to this would be because it's just something that I just started writing about. So if I offend anyone, I'm sorry, but this is what's on my heart. I'm just going to read it, and then after when I get done, if I have enough time, I will talk about it. So, okay, so when I was growing up, I was raised in a very strict home. Our belief was Pentecostal. I wasn't allowed to wear pants, shorts, bathing suits, makeup, or even cut my hair. I was always taught it was wrong, and if you did that, you wouldn't make it into heaven. By no way am I downing our belief, what I was taught. I'm just going to express how I feel about this subject now that I'm an adult. Guys, keep in mind I have kids, so I'll write this stuff down, just randomly when I have a time. So if my words are jumbled, I'm sorry. So here we go. So I remember as a child growing up how different I was compared to everyone else. The only difference was having to wear skirts, etc. With this being said, I remember kids always asking me, why do you wear skirts every day? I think I got that question over 1,000 times. My reply was always my parents wouldn't let me wear pants. With that being said, kids sort of got used to the fact I wore skirts and never asked again until middle and high school. And the times my mama separated from my daddy. The times I was moved to different schools was the worst ever. Those kids was so mean. They would literally poke fun of me, mostly during PE. I would bring shorts to change into during that time. In my hometown where I went to school, everyone treated me with respect because I grew up with most of them, and several other people had the same belief as me. This one time when I was in my teenage years, the rebellious stage where you do what you want to do and no one's the boss. Yeah, I was definitely in that stage. I started wearing makeup. Then gradually I started wearing pants. I would sneak and change my skirt at the hedge bushes before the bus would run. LOL, that was so freaking funny. I did that for the longest until I got busted. Well, one day I was getting off the bus and my mom was peeking out the window and caught me. I got my butt busted and stopped wearing pants for a while. My mama knew I was going to do what I wanted to anyways. I was 16, so she finally started letting me wear pants. Shortly after that, so did my mama, which I totally didn't understand. But oh well, it's not meant for me to. I cherish the way I was raised and thankful my mama raised me up in church. But being so strict, I don't get it. I was taught if you do all these things, you wouldn't make it into heaven. I don't at all believe that now that I'm an adult of my own. God is a loving God. He doesn't judge your outward appearance. He judges your heart and how you live your life and treat others. Now, when I say he doesn't judge your outward appearance, I'm not talking about getting out here looking like like somebody with your boobs hanging out or something like that, because I don't agree with that. That's just my belief. But God don't just sit and look at your outward appearance and say, well, your shirt's too tight, you're going to hell, or you cut your hair, you're going to hell. I don't believe God will judge you like that. So, okay. I don't at all think God would send our souls to hell for wearing pants, cutting your hair, or wearing makeup. If that was the case, why would we even try to live right and serve God? God is a loving God. I wanted to get on this topic for a certain reason. As I got older, I learned and started seeing so much things. I was raised to love God and to show how He cares for us. I started seeing how others wouldn't live their life true as they claimed to be. People would always hound you for not living right. I'm talking outward appearance. Like, these people would judge and be like, well, you're not living right because, you've got pants on or you got makeup on. They were quick to point the finger when the finger was back pointing at them. There is a way to go about things in love, not in a way to hurt and tear others down. Now, the kind of reaching out to help others, like doing it in love, saying like, I'm concerned, you shouldn't be doing that, and this ain't right, that's totally fine. But when you want to point and say, like, I'm better than you, or you're going to go to hell for that, I don't agree with that at all. Just don't agree with it. You wouldn't see Christians out trying to help one another. Now, this is another topic. This is like me talking about me looking, like, as I started getting older, what I started realizing about, not all Christians, but certain Christians in general. You wouldn't see Christians out trying to help one another, praying for the sick, the ones who are at home bound, nursing homes, elderly, hospitals, people in jails, people on the streets, etc. People must have thought they are all going to church and living right. That's all that matters, but it's not. There's more to going to church and living right than just claiming to be a Christian and going to church. People like that are missing, and by no means I'm not judging them. This is just how I felt as a teenager growing up and looking into the whole picture. Being a Christian is not just how you live, what you wear, or even by going to church. Being saved as a Christian is living it, shining your light to the hurting that needs to know someone cares and God cares. Never did see a lot of that. Now, I'm just saying, the church that I went to was fabulous, but they were all-time hounding on to you. Your skirt's too short, you need to take it to your knees, or below your knees, or in that case, to your ankles at the time. I don't see that. I don't see, people focus too much on the outward appearance when they should be looking toward the heart and trying to help others. That's where I'm getting. I always just saw how the older I got, the more and more I realized. This is kind of wrapped in all together to this. So, my mama stopped going to church for a while because my stepdad was dying. She had to be there to help him. Several times church folks would call. Then they just completely stopped, which really hurt my mama's feelings after that. She got out of church. When my grandma passed, this was my mama's mom. Keep in mind, my mom had already passed. Not one of the church people in which I went to church all of my life didn't call to wish their condolence, didn't send a card, didn't even show up at the funeral home. Now, I went to this church for all of my life, all the way up until I got married and had my 2 little girls. And that just really hurt me, and it opened my eyes up to a different level. Sometimes in life, you hang on to a certain church or your home. That was my home. Like, whenever I was growing up, that was my church home. I still to this day, I love everyone there dearly. I love the pastor and his wife. They passed away. They recently passed away not too long ago. But, the older you get, life's too short to sit and point fingers and judge and do this and do that. Our main thing about serving God is getting people saved, helping the lost, helping the people that's hungry, that don't have a home, just everything like that. That's what serving God is about, winning souls and helping others. And if you're, saying you're a Christian, which I'm not saying that people like that wasn't a Christian, but if you're saying this way and pointing fingers for people to wear this and wear that, really and truly, when you're not leaning a hand to somebody in need, or somebody had died, or, For instance, if somebody didn't have enough money to get groceries, you could, like, God could lay that on your heart to buy them groceries or something like that. If you're not being that kind of an example, and your heart is not with love, how can you say that, you were trying to do what's right and serving God and stuff? Because God is love. We're supposed to do that with love. That did it for me. I was done. It cut me like a sharp knife. I asked myself, how can church people do this? Isn't being a Christian showing love and compassion for the hurt, being there for others in their time of need? Needless to say, I got out of church for a long period of time. Now, I think why the Lord led me toward this way about talking about this subject is because I have noticed on a lot of my comments and even on private messages, people have gotten out of church. Either they got hurt or it was like a clique thing. They didn't feel like they should go to church because it's like some of the churches nowadays are like a clique, and if you're not in it, then you're not nothing. And I'm thinking that's why a lot of people don't go to church. I've got family that's that way. They've been so hurt, and they have got so angry, and they kind of like got anger in their heart, and it's just overtook them. I was there once, I know. Honey, let me tell you girls, I was there. And guys, whoever's listened to me. But there comes a time in your heart that you have to forgive. Forgive people that's done you that way, and like say, look, that happened for a reason. Now you know the only true help that you have is God. You have to trust in God 100% and know that He's going to see you through. Even if you got hurt and your heart got crushed and you don't understand, you've got to lean on God, period. A church I went to all of my life, and this was how they treated me. And I did confront them. I confronted the pastor of the situation. Now, my pastor, it wasn't really my pastor's fault because he was old and his wife was dying, and then she had died, and then his son shot himself. So he was just, I don't really think he was mentally stable. So I don't really, say that it was his fault. But the assistant pastor at the time, when I called him, he said he didn't know about it. And I said, yes, sir, you did. I said, you were told this. And I said, I have been to this church all of my life. And for not one out of that whole entire church, not for one person to call me and not even come to the funeral home, I wouldn't have cared. Just picked up the phone and said, I'm sorry, we're praying for you. Because I had lost my mama, and then I had lost my grandma, and it was just a total hot mess. And he was like, well, we're going to have a meeting over this, which I don't know if they did. They said that they did. I quit that church. I never did go back. And then God laid it on my heart to go to that church one more time. And I had went there, and my pastor was there, and I love these people dearly. Still to this day, I love them. I think about them all the time. And Earl would always, he loved my singing, and he loved my kids. He loved my husband. It just made his day for us to come. We lived like an hour away from the church when I married, and we would drive down there. And, I remember him hugging my neck, and that was like the last time. And I think that, by me going back, and then after all those years that I quit, God, like it was His way of like saying, it's time to release yourself and let go. And that I did. That was the very last time I seen him, which was like, I think he passed like 2 years ago, I think it was. And, God does stuff for a reason in life. Sometimes He does us, some things like this in life happens to break you away from that, to lead you into a different chapter, and to uplift your faith. And, and it teaches you to 100% trust in God, because none of us are perfect. Preachers fail, I fail, your husband fails, your kids fails, everyone fails. We're human. But for people to sit and point fingers and judge and to do this and to do that isn't right at all. No one's better than anybody. I just don't understand from time to time. I stayed out of church for several years. I still loved the Lord, but my heart was torn. And in a way, I did kind of get cold-hearted. Not not really toward the church, but I just couldn't understand why I was treated that way, me and my family. I didn't understand none of it. I didn't understand how Christians could be so careless. But that was exactly what had happened. I could go on and on, but I'm going to leave it here at this. The reason why I'm talking about this on my channel is I know a lot of people has commented, which I just got into that a minute ago, but I'm all rambling here, I see. Commented and private messaged me about them not going to church for certain reason. It's sad that this has happened to Christian people. If this has happened to any of you, I'm sorry. I know it hinders you to even go back to church again. I know I have been there. It's a very hurtful feeling. Find a different church, I promise. They're all not that way. I know all churches has faults, but you can find a caring church that love people and love God. There are so many hurting people in this world that needs a helping hand. Being a Christian is not what you wear, but it's how you live your life by helping others in need, praying for people, showing love, uplifting one another, other than tearing them down. I've seen Christians with my own eyes turning away drug addicts just because they are on drugs and don't want a bad reputation. Us as Christians should show love and kindness, pray for them, give them hope, tell them they can overcome this by God's grace and mercy. If you are one who have been through this, please don't lose hope. Shake it off and be all you can be for others. Ask yourself, what kind of Christian am I? It's all about Jesus and shining His light and helping others. We never know when we encounter someone, it could be an entertaining angel. Show love, show kindness, and show mercy. So, I know this kind of hit deep to some. It hit deep to me because sometimes it brings me into tears when I think about it. But guys, this is facts. This is facts for me. This is facts for everyone. Especially when you're in a small little church. Which that's what I was in. You know, people like that, a lot of people like to gossip about everyone. Which I don't agree with that either. Especially when you're going to church or anywhere like that. But you know, that's stuff like this goes on. And that's why my aunt and my uncle, they were on fire for God. They served God. And then they got done the same way. They got their feelings hurt. And it was like, it was more than getting their feelings hurt. It's like, you know, you're raised this way. And then you see these people doing this. And it just tears you into pieces. And it hurts me to see my aunt and uncle because they won't go back to church. Like, if God don't intervene in their life, I don't think they will go back to church. I mean, they're living right, and they're doing right, and they're reading their Bibles at home and trying to do right and helping others like that, and they do help others. But it's just like, when I tell them to go to church with me, they're like, why should I? Why should I go to church when others are doing this? And I try to tell them, you don't go to church for others, you go to church for you. You know, you do it for yourself and for God. And of course, you get to meet people and, you know, greet people and stuff like that. But, I mean, this is just how I feel. And if I offended anyone, I'm sorry. But this was on my heart. And normally I just go with what's on my heart and what's on my mind. But if any of you all, like, I've noticed a lot of you all have said that y'all don't go to church anymore. But if it's because of that, guys, just try to shake it off. You know, we're all human. We all fall. And, you know, there has to come a time in your life that you can forgive them and just move forward and say, look, you know, I don't understand this, and we'll never understand why things happen, whether it's a whole different subject or what it is. Sometimes it's not meant for us to understand. So, with that being said, guys, I'm sorry I didn't get one up this past week. So, I was asked yesterday, when was I going to post a video like this? So I told the lady that I would try to get it up this week. And I went ahead and I'm like, you know, I've slacked on this. And I went ahead and that was what came to my mind. So, guys, I love y'all. And I will try to do another one since I missed last week, I'm going to try to do another one, maybe like Sunday. And instead of doing like stuff more on me for once, I'm going to do like a testimony / prayer video. So like whenever I put it up, it won't be me a lot of talking, and y'all can just comment below and we can all pray for one another, and everybody that reads each other's comments can see the comments and the testimonies as well. I just think that that would be a good way to, you know, see everyone's testimonies in life, see what they made it through, because, you know, a test in life becomes your testimony. And I've said it plenty of times, I believe whatever you're faced with in life is what you need to talk about and what you need to share with others. Sometimes it's personal, but if God lays it on your heart to do it, guys, jump on it and do it, because, you know, you never know what kind of blessing you're going to be missing if you don't share what the good Lord up above wants you to talk about. So until then, guys, I will talk to y'all later. I've got to get off here and get me a cup of joe, guys. So talk to y'all later. Bye.